All right, we are live. I'm Aaron West. I am joined once again by Adam Digby and Sam Lewis. How you fellas doing today?
Great, man.
Good
It's
man,
wonderful to be
you.
here again.
Yeah. Let's jump straight into it. I am excited to hear Sam's rant because pre-production is always
To
one
hear a
of
repeat of Sam's rant.
the repeat of Sam's rant. So in a pre-Derby della Madonnina presentation, um, Milan players and Sinisa fans. Aliani was jeered. There were some banners in the crowd. One of them read, "The real transfer coup would be if you were to resign." Another another asked, "Galliani, when are you undergoing your medical?"
Oof.
Mihalovic, of course, went in and tried to calm the crowd down. He danced. He jumped to Kino Salta Nerazzurro. Of course. I'm going to toss it to Sam and get your thoughts on this one.
I just think it's just the whole thing just baffles me because I've seen him do the little video, the little dance, his little half-hearted joining in, like pretending like he genuinely cares, and it's wonderful and it's great. But the thing is, I've seen on Twitter, it's just like Milan fans retweeting it and saying, "Oh, he's a Milanista now," and he definitely doesn't care about Inter. It's just like, well, look, he's just being paid by that person to do that shit. Like that's what's going on right now. He's being paid by his employer to say nice things about his employer. If he was sacked tomorrow and then got hired by Inter or Juventus, have a guess what he'd be dancing to, and it wouldn't be shit on Salta Nerazzurro if he was coaching Inter. That's what annoys me. It's like he's just paying compliments to the employer, and this sort of empty sort of, oh, he just says he loves us now, and that definitely means he loves us. Like it's a job. It is a job, and this all this other stuff about Galliani is fair enough, but you have to take it a little bit further than that. He's got the money and all that sort of stuff, and he hasn't entirely managed it well. But this specific stuff about Mihalovic really just grinds my gears, man. It just pisses me off. Like I can't, because it's just so short-sighted. Like he doesn't, like it's his job. Like I was saying to you guys, if I went to a new school, I started work this week, and if they asked me to say nice things about the school, guess what? I'd say nice things about the school. Like if I had a press conference in front of all the parents saying, "Oh, what do you think about the new English department?" Even if they were shocking, I would be like, this English department's really nice, really good, and I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. Mihalovic is just doing the same thing. Do you think he's really looking forward to trying to figure out how a midfield of Andrea Poli, Ricardo Montolivo is going to work against Juventus? No, of course he's not. He's fucking pissed off a bit as much as I am, but he's going to be like, "Oh, it's a challenge. It's a great." It's just, oh God, just so naive. I just, you know what I mean, Aaron? There was actually more expletives in the pre-production. That's how upset I was. It's seriously, I can't. I just,
The the
I
oh.
best
can
the
vouch for
best
that
part about this
down version.
the best part about this is how happy Sam was when he first got onto the podcast, and then we started talking about the topics and his mood just immediately shifted.
I've had a great week as well, and it's taken just 10 minutes to remember Italian football to just reduce me to this once again. So thanks, Milan. And it's like, like the boom for Galliani, like it's just like, what is he gonna be like? Oh, these 50 people have got signs. I must completely readdress my transfer strategy. Like he's not gonna do that. Like he's never been bothered about that. The Curva haven't been turning up to football games since like fucking last February. Like, do you think anyone gives a shit at all what some dude holding a plastic card is like? Oh well, I spent 20 minutes on this with Nonna. Maybe he's gonna read it and think, that man's sign, like, and have an epiphany. Maybe I'll stop talking to Enrico Prezioso because this dude spent 20 minutes on a fucking piece of A4 paper. Like, no one gives a shit. Like, just, it's just, just be bothered in a better way is what I'm saying. Like, focus on better shit, okay? Like the actual football and how bad this team is at the football element. Focus on that. Oh God, can we just talk about like the Premiership or something?
No.
No, we're stuck talking about Serie A because that's what we love. It's what drives us crazy. That's why we're here. All right, now we got some positive news on the Milan side. Sinisa Mihalovic has proposed that Milan and Inter start a new tradition in which the winner of the Derby della Madonnina makes a donation to a charity chosen by both clubs. this year's charity, he's urged that the money go to the Syrian refugees. Obviously, that's been a huge news story across the world with the war in Syria and refugees fleeing the country. I personally think this is awesome from Sinisa. Obviously, we can make fun of him for dancing to his new employer's tune, but this is a really, really cool gesture. And now you got something to be happy about. You got at least one thing, Sam.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. I can be happy that we're helping out. Well, it's a great cause, obviously, absolutely. But it feels like, you know, Milan are doing more for Syrian refugees than their football team. But well, that's just fantastic that they're doing something for someone. That's all I can say. Like, as long as someone in some country somewhere is happy based on AC Milan, then you know what? If it isn't me, I can live with it. That's cool. If the guys over there that are having an awful time can be like, you know, I'm better because of this donation, that's wonderful. That's great. I saw Mihailovic also wrote a brief article for Gazzetta. I think that's kind of a cool thing that he's getting involved with the media. He's implored Roberto Mancini to start asking, make a little wager on it and all that sort of stuff. I like that whole thing. I like how we're turning football towards a force for good rather than just one that is just seems to be sent purely just to annoy me. So that's ideal. That's really nice.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool gesture. Now, Adam, what do you think about the fans jeering Galliani? As an outsider, as obviously we are the two Juventini, we got Sam doubled up right here. We got him outnumbered, but
to be honest, I think it's pretty justified. To be honest, I mean, as we said on the pre-season preview, I was opening questioning Galliani at the start of the summer if he could spend the money properly, and all Milan fans were retweeting it and telling me I was stupid, and look, we've signed Romagnoli and it's all going to be okay. And my whole point all along was they need to get some midfielders who can tackle and pass in the same passage of play. And outside of Nigel de Jong, and you go to Lazio as well, they don't have that. They've got Poli, who can pass a little bit. They've got Montolivo, who
used to be able to pass.
He used to be able to play, but probably when he was at Fiorentina rather than while he's been at Milan. And they've got some serious problems. And I think I've spoken about this before, but I think in some kind of way, one of the benefits of Calciopoli for Juve, which seems like an oxymoron, but bear with me 1 second, is Juve didn't have to figure out how to tell Luciano Moggi, you're too old and the game has passed you by, it's time to walk away. And that's the position that Milan are in now with Adriano Galliani. He's got all the contacts in the world, he's got all the experience, he can lean on a great past of, he signed Ruud Gullit, who would probably be a better player today than most of the midfielders that Milan have. But the game has passed him by. It took him so long to find a decent goalkeeper before he got Diego Lopez, almost by accident. It's taken him until this summer to address the striker situation, where we've seen Milan go from Ibrahimovic and Balotelli, when Balotelli was good the first time around. We've gone through the Fernando Torres, Alessio Cerci, the same in midfield. It's the same in defence, where, as I said 3 or 4 weeks ago, it's great signing it's great signing Romagnoli, but you need 2 defenders because you play 2 central defenders, and Romagnoli and Mexes, or Romagnoli and Zapata is still
someone and Mexes and someone Zapata.
They really are right, and it's sad and it's hard for Milan fans, and it's even harder for Silvio Berlusconi, who's worked with this guy for 30 years next year. But at the end of the day, in all walks of life, in all multi-million-pound businesses, the CEO is not allowed to carry on and on and on. And right now, Milan's boardroom looks kind of like the banking scene in Mary Poppins, where it's all a load of old guys sat around who don't even know what day it is, but they've been there since the bank was started, so hey, who's going to tell them to quit? And that's just where Milan are. They've got Adriano Galliani, who knows where Silvio Berlusconi has hidden all the skeletons, and they're not going to tell him to walk away. And until they do, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get disjointed campaigns, and you're going to get Galliani going to Enrico Preziosi in June and saying, what players have you got? And he'll take the best of those. So unless Genoa magically sign all the players that Milan need, it's just going to continue until Galliani quits off his own back. And as Sam says, he's not going to do that from a a placard that's been more suited to a WWE arena than anything to do with AC Milan.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, it's not just the players that he brings in, or the manner in which he talks to certain people, like the Preziosi connection. It's like the length of time he takes as well. Like, so many deals Milan could have made just by Galliani just saying, yes, okay, we'll pay that extra 2.5 million. Yes, we'll agree to that obligation. Instead of him trying to drag it out over like the next 2 or 3 weeks, Morata would have signed Witsel 2 months ago if he'd have had the amount of contact that Galliani reportedly had with Zenit. Like, going out of just signing Bertolacci for 20 million, just like that, even if it was a little bit of an overprice, it gives you the impression of how easy deals can be done in 2015 when you just ring up the football club and say, how much do you want for this guy? Oh, that much? Yeah, cool, we'll pay it. Astonishing how that works, isn't it, really? Like, Adriano Galliani always has to have like a deal. Why?
Yeah.
Why can't you just pay the price tag for the budget that you have? If Berlusconi says you've got 100 million, say, cool, do you want 30 for this guy? There's your 30. You want 20 for that guy? There's your 20. Why do we have to spend fucking like days talking to his dad, or like having meals upon meals upon meals? And I see clips of him on his bike just going through villages saying, oh, it's cool, and 99.73% close to a contract agreement, but his dad says no, but his wife wants to. Who gives a shit? Just pay the money. Bring him in.
That's the thing with Serie A right now.
We're not in a position to negotiate, are we? We're not in a position to be like...
No, and that's the thing is, Galliani, from his time, after the early years when he first set up that great team, Galliani was in a position where he could go into the market and make his demands and get whoever he wanted, because everybody wanted to come to Milan, and the team was great and he needed 1 or 2 players. The situation that Milan is in, and Serie A in general, is you have to overpay. Juve overpaid for Paulo Dybala. Juve overpaid for Alexandro a little bit. Inter overpaid for Kondogbia. Milan overpaid for Carlos Bacca, Bertolacci, Romagnoli. If you want that player, you are going to have to go and spend, because there is nothing other than the fact that it says AC Milan on the front of the shirt that is alluring about coming to that club right now. And that's the same for Juve to a lesser degree. It's the same for Inter this summer. It's the same for Napoli, who have this hang-up with the image rights, because it's far more important to get the guy half naked on your Christmas calendar than it is to have him playing in central defence, so you end up missing out on players. I mean, we saw that to the ridiculous degree in the winter when Napoli wanted to sign Gabbiadini. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but everybody knew in mid-December that deal was done. He wasn't playing for Sampdoria because that deal was done, and it took them until almost the closing of the window because of this complicated image rights that Napoli have. And Serie A clubs are not in a position to make those demands. It's exactly as Sam says, go pay, overpay, because otherwise somebody else will. Do the deal early, get the player you want, improve your team, and in 5 or 6 years' time, when Serie A is in a better position, yes, you will be able to start winning deals again. But Serie A is not in that position right now. If you stumble across a player almost by accident or by somebody else's fuck up, like with Pogba, fair enough. But those cases are so rare, and you've got the really good deals now is like Sami Khedira misses 2 years injured. Juve pick him up on a free because Real Madrid don't want to renew his contract. Otherwise, it's Jeffrey Kondogbia is available for about 32 million. Right, we'll give you 40. Can we pay you 20 now, 20 next year? Yes, done. Okay. And that's it. There's no more negotiating to be done. Do the deal, pay the money, or just walk away, because it's helping nobody to do this. As you said, 99.7%, blah, blah, blah. You're not getting that deal done. Sign the player. Stop telling the world that you might be signing so-and-so. You just missed out on so-and-so. Juve had that problem. They messed around with Draxler, and yeah, they were probably right to walk away, because I think we've seen in the weeks since that kid had no desire to leave Germany. So cool, but they went and got Hernandez, and Hernandez at 10 million is probably a gamble. But if you need an attacking midfielder, he's probably a fair price at 10 million, a little bit over. Pay the money, do the deal, get the player, hope it works out. Get on with it. Stop fucking about.
Thank you.
That might be the title for this one.
No, the title for this one is Money Talks and Bullshit Leads Chance.
You're right there.
That's a solid one. Now, you mentioned Preziosi, and Genoa obviously plays Fiorentina this weekend. Now, Fiorentina has some interesting news coming out. They have complained officially to FIFA over the loan of Mo Salah to Roma. They've complained that saying there was a breach of contract, and this claim is now being investigated. Now, on the other side of it, on some positive news, I guess, Giuseppe Rossi, is in the process of agreeing a new deal to basically be paid on a more performance-related basis for Fiorentina. He's gone through a slew of injury problems in the last 2-3 years, and now he's done the. I mean, depending on how you're looking at it, the kind of admirable move of agreeing to restructure his contract to where he doesn't get paid if he doesn't get paid as much if he doesn't play. How are things looking on the Fiorentina side? They are one of the few bigger clubs to get a win in the first week. They've got points on the board. How do you guys feel about Fiorentina right now?
I like this Beppe Rossi thing particularly well, and I think like I said earlier, when Milan lost to Fiorentina the opening day weekend, I think we all underrated them a little bit. We saw Montella walk away, we saw some of the players change around, we looked at that midfield, we thought, what's going on there, and it had to depend on Beppe Rossi, and it still may do, but I think Sousa is a good coach, and I think the way he seems to be bringing that mentality over to that club is positive. Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding. Ask me later in November, I'll be able to give you a more detailed answer, but at the moment they look pretty good. And I like this Beppe Rossi thing. I love that the guy has the balls to come out and say, you know what, pay me as I play, I will prove myself to you. He's always had a great confidence in himself, which is astonishing considering how much time he's missed, how close he came to playing in Euro 2012, and then he missed out on that, and then he went to play into World Cup 2014 and missed out on that. Lesser men would have been broken by this and would have took their money, sat on the bench, and thought, you know what, this is my lot in life. I'm just an injury-prone player. Beppe Rossi knows his quality. I mean, it seems like yesterday to me that he scored 33 goals for Villarreal in 2011, and he was like a gnat's bollock away from being a 35 million Barcelona player. It was that close.
That is. And let me interrupt you really quickly. I have to.
Right ahead.
I've never heard a Nats baller before, and that is one of the coolest things I've ever heard in my life.
It's a very Wolverhampton phrase. I got it from my dad. I'll be honest.
That is amazing. I'm gonna use that.
It slips off the tongue. You can have that, man. You can have that's all you. Don't worry about it.
Oh, me. Sorry I had to interrupt you for that one.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You go right on ahead. But he was the proverbial gnat's testicle away from joining one of the biggest clubs in the world, and it could have been a parallel universe in which he may have benefited from a better fitness system. Who knows what could have happened? But either way, he was a genuinely fantastic player, and it is when he's healthy. Remember when he? I know you guys probably don't want to talk about this, but he scored that hat trick against you guys when Fiorentina won by 4, and there was a time when he's fit. He's arguably the best centre forward in the league, arguably, and he definitely looked it during that stretch. He's a wonderful player, magical left foot, and I love this whole confidence aspect to his game, and I really hope it works out.
Absolutely, Adam.
I'm still not fully convinced by Fiorentina, to be honest. I think they just lost so much this summer. They lost their coach, they lost Savic in defence, they lost quite a few players in midfield. Aquilani and people like that who were not great, but they gave them some depth, and obviously they lost Mo Salah, who was their best player. They lost Mario Gomez, who was their most prolific goal scorer, their most accurate goal scorer, I suppose. But if they get Giuseppe Rossi back fit, man, yeah, it's great. I mean, Giuseppe Rossi is amazing when he's fit. It's frightening. I've written about him this week, and he's got 17 goals in 26 appearances for Fiorentina, which is a ridiculous scoring record. But then you also have to look that he's been there 3 years, and that kind of just tells you how much football he's actually missed. Great, wonderful gesture by him. The Salah thing, I'm tired of hearing it from Fiorentina. I'll be perfectly honest. Salah is getting on with his life with Roma, and he looked really good against Juve again, just like he did against Juve in the Coppa Italia. But Fiorentina, it's all the time, it's constant, and it's just, they've got their own problems to worry about, and every single time they talk about him, they're proved wrong. They said he wouldn't be allowed to go back to Chelsea. He'd already signed a deal. He went back to Chelsea. They said he wouldn't be able to go on loan to another club. He went on loan. They said he was going to be banned. He's not been banned. Now they're saying again he's going to be suspended. He probably won't be suspended because if FIFA or UEFA had any issues with the deal, plain and simple, he would not be at Roma. An international transfer has to go through extra clearance with FIFA, and this transfer has cleared all that. The guy is turning out every week for Roma. Whatever happened between him and Fiorentina is done. He is no longer their player. He wouldn't go back. They wouldn't have him back now anyway. So they're arguing over a little bit of compensation, maybe. And let's be honest, you're not going to get any money out of FIFA for it. Remember when Chelsea sued Juve over the Adrian Mutu thing? Juve haven't paid Xavi a penny for that yet. So let's be honest, this isn't going to go anywhere. Doesn't do them any favours. Doesn't do Salah any favours. It just makes everyone look stupid. It's just the same as the transfers we were talking about before. Move on. He's gone. Yeah. If he wasn't going to go, he'd still be there. He'd be in a suit every week looking miserable in Florence. He's not. He's wearing a Roma shirt and playing well for Roma. You lost out. Tough shit.
He's not even done any coke this time. Like
I love that. Like, he's not even doing any drugs. It's fine. Speaking of that, I mean, like, I think it's quite appropriate that the Juve fans weren't actually here for the last week's episode. Let's have a little bit of a post-mortem, guys. Can we talk about the Roma game? Is that okay, or can we just? Have we repressed that already?
We can talk about it. It was good actually because to me it showed exactly what will happen to Milan when they play against Roma because like the last week. Milan don't have a midfield either.
I'm taking enough already.
I'm telling you, man, it is what it is. I think, okay, Milan jokes aside, Juve played badly. There's no other way around it. Juve looked awful without Khedira, without Marchisio, before Hernandez and Cuadrado had signed. Juve were awful, as Allegri said to this week. The season starts now, and that's exactly what I said before the Roma game is let's get this game over and done with, let's get the international break out of the way, sign the players we need, start the season properly, and that's where we're at now. I think the one thing I would like to go back to, just if you give me just a minute, is the playing on Paduin in midfield, which Allegri's taken a lot of criticism for. Paduin is not a starting midfielder, and he's certainly not a starting midfielder when you're playing against AS Roma. But if I'm Allegri, I can see the logic behind it, because I think if you throw out a midfield of, let's face it, who was fit? Pereira, Sturaro, and Pogba against Roma, and you still get torn apart, that's going to kill the confidence of those players for 2 whole weeks over the international break. You play Paduin, you blame the whole thing on Paduin. Paduin will come on for 5 minutes at the end of the game against Chievo, do his job, never bat an eyelid. You're not going to damage Simone Paduin by no matter what you say, because it's all been said before. He's been criticised since he arrived. He's had a 6-month spell where he's like a folk hero, and people joke about him winning the Ballon d'Or and all this kind of stuff, and that's hilarious. But the fact of the matter is he's a very limited midfielder, but he's got a thick skin, and to me that's what Allegri did. Allegri threw him under the bus with his consent, basically, and now we've got all the excuses in the world why Juve got torn apart by Roma. It's because Allegri picked Paduin. But I can see why he did it, because if he'd have played Sturaro, Pereira and Pogba, you're already admitting that midfield doesn't work if you get killed. So, yeah, it's a shame, but here's one for Paduin.
Yeah, and then you see Paduin's not even included in the Champions League list.
Which tells you that was like 2 days later, which tells you exactly that Allegri knew what he was doing. He had no intention of playing Paduin when it matters.
Yeah. Now, that segues nicely into this weekend. We've got Juve, bottom Juve.
Are we actually going to discuss some football?
We're going to discuss some football now. We're here. We're finally here. We've got bottom dwellers Juve taking on top Chievo. We'll say that again. We've got bottom dwellers Juve taking on the Flying Donkeys flying high at the top of the table. What's going on here? I know it's 2 games in the season, but this is a weird headline for me. How do you feel about this one, Adam? As our I'm gonna be the neutral host today. How are we feeling about it as a Juve supporter? As I kiss the bed.
Oh, that Julian will love that. Neutral supporter kissing a badge. Maybe you could get a job with Mihailovic.
Que non salta.
Needs more dancing, mate. Needs more jigs. It's cool. That's all you need.
To be honest, and again, to go back to the last show that we did, the title is not won or lost in August. And I know I'm older than you two guys, but I remember a day when, until week 5, there didn't used to be a league table produced. You just never used to bother. No one would refer to the table. No one would comment. Now, because everybody has these up-to-the-minute online, you can go look at it. There it is. Oh, look, Juve are bottom, even though technically they wouldn't be on goal difference, whatever. But it's funny. Yeah, Chievo top, Juve are bottom. It's 2 games. The distance between Juve and Inter is 6 points. I'm not worried. Juve have got a full team this weekend. If they don't win this weekend, yeah, absolutely, then questions need to be asked. But everyone has said all over the international break, the season starts this weekend. Chievo have done well in their opening 2 games, yeah. Give them a pat on the head. Well done. Juve should win. To me, you can say it's arrogant, it's overconfidence or whatever. The players need to work hard. They need to take the game seriously. But if Juve can't beat Chievo, they might as well just pack up and go home right now, because with that team, I mean, you look at the prospective lineup with I think he said today, Allegri said today he's going to play Bazzali, so it will be Lichtsteiner, Bazzali, Chiellini, your man Alexandro, and then an actual midfield. Let's just enjoy this for a minute. An actual midfield: Marchisio, Pogba, Storaro, then Hernandez, Dybala, and either Mandzukic or Morata, depending on Morata's fitness. If you can't win a game like that 3 days before you play Manchester City, I'm sorry, but they should just win, and win comfortably for my money. As good as Chievo have been and as well organised as they might be, it's the sort of game we've just got to go out and show just how good you can be when everybody is available, because that will stop all of the questions and all of the criticism.
Yeah. And it is, to talk a little bit more about that Roma match, it's interesting and telling that as badly as Juve played, the scoreline ended up 2-1. And it could have been 2-2, except for a Szczesny wonder save. It could have ended up 2-2 as badly as they played, and they were awful. Let's not there's no ignoring that. The team was awful.
Juve were awful, and they came within a wonder save of stealing a point from the best team in Serie A.
Yeah.
I think it does wonders.
Absolute worst.
I think it does wonders for the title race. That was a neutral, obviously. I think it's great that Juventus did lose their game. Not in a personal way, but I mean, like, for Roma, they might have, it helps them mentally and they can push on towards the title race. And for Juve, it allows the complacency not to settle in as well, which means they're going to come out from the international break and they're going to get their heels dug in and they're going to go pushing forward. Whereas Roma, in their minds, even if the Juventus fans can say, well, you're only a goal away, in Roma's head, we've beaten Juve. You know, it's a big mental push.
Absolutely.
So it's actually a positive for both sides there, where Juve can get their act together, but at the same time not feel too bad because they were missing a lot of players. Yeah. Whereas Roma can say, this is an opportunity. We've actually beaten Juventus. We can do this, guys. Come on. Sets up the top 2 wonderfully, I think. It's actually if anything, really, it's sort of the perfect scoreline for a neutral.
Yeah, and let's not take anything away from Roma. They looked great, and they are going to be a force to reckon with this season. It's not going to be Juve running away with the title again. It's going to be a great title race, like you said. Roma has looked really, really good. They've got their goal scorer in Edin Dzeko, and I'm just waiting for the monster of Totti to rear his head as the season goes on.
I was going to say that as well. Just a quick subplot while you were talking about it. Can you argue that both Italy and Roma's first 11 are better without Daniele De Rossi?
I would argue that, yes.
Because he did not look good against. I thought he lost his head against Juventus near the end, and he definitely did that against Italy. And you would say that Roma could play Pjanic, Nainggolan, and blanking here, not Strootman. Just somebody else that isn't De Rossi. Forgive me for not knowing. I know there's another midfield option right there. I know that's available, and obviously Italy can still work out without. It's quite strange to say a man who was so key to Roma, has been so key to Roma, is now seemingly on the precipice a little bit.
I think De Rossi is still a fantastic player. I think it's one of those things where it's a little bit early in the season, and yeah, he's got a little bit of a mental issue. But that's Roma overall, and that's why, like, even though they beat Juve, I'm not going to get carried away thinking about Roma as title contenders, because we saw it over the last 2 seasons. They look great in August, September, October, and then the wheels fall off because the pressure becomes too great. And they have to, as I said in the very first the season preview, Roma have got to show it over a sustained period of time. Yeah, winning against Juve is a fantastic result, but it's still, they haven't played a game in September yet. So let's give it a few months and see what happens when Dzeko goes a few games without scoring and Totti needs to play and Garcia has a tough decision to make. Because, again, I've heard James Pallotta did an interview today and he was talking about Dzeko and Totti can play together, and Garcia said it too, but he's still not done that yet. And I don't see how that fits with a 4-3-3.
It's happening. Roma is happening again.
I don't see how Salah and Falcao and Gervinho and Totti and Dzeko all fit together in any other way than a 4-3-3 with Totti or Dzeko in the middle. And once you start playing Totti, then you've got to bench him again, and it's really tough. Garcia's in a tough spot because he doesn't have the equity to keep Totti on the bench for too long, and let's wait and see what happens with them.
Yeah, and let's not forget they've got to mix in Champions League. That is a huge factor when we're talking about a long season. They've got to balance Champions League with Serie A play, also Coppa Italia. They've got decent depth, but they haven't done it before, like Adam said. So
Serie A so badly needs Roma. Serie A so badly needs Roma to make the last 16 in Champions League as well. We can't keep going. As much as it's great to sit there and tweet about, oh, Roma have gone out, that's an extra 16 million for Juve. It does Serie A no favours. And as a fan of the league as well as of Juve, we need these teams to start making a showing in the Champions League, because it's a joke right now, to be honest.
Absolutely. Now we'll talk about our final topic, the big match of the weekend. We've got the Derby della Madonnina with Inter taking on Milan. Sam, how are you feeling ahead of this match?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not okay. I said a couple of weeks ago that they needed to beat Empoli and look comfortable. They did one of those things and it wasn't looking comfortable. They beat Empoli, and I'm hoping that Sinisa Mihajlovic has spent the last 2 weeks shouting at them, frankly, because that midfield was horrific, and they didn't get Axel Witsel, and they really, really should have got Axel Witsel, and that would have really helped the midfield. So now I have to put up with Kondogbia, who should be a Milan player, facing against Andrea Poli, who should still be an Inter player, and it's just going to make me feel really sad. So I don't know. I think Medel against Carlos Bacca and Luis Adriano is an interesting battle that could favour Milan as the time goes on. But I do worry about the other 3 Milan defenders alongside. I do worry about Romagnoli as well. I'm saying we all say it's a given just because we spent 25 million on him. He's going to be good right away. But that Inter front line is really quite scary. Jovetic, obviously, he scored a great 1 goal in the opening weekend. Fair enough, but if he can keep doing that, then he's going to be a real test for Milan defence. I don't know. It's very, very early on for both coaches. I would say Inter are the favourites. They have a positive record in the derby over the last couple of fixtures as well. They just need to book their ideas up. It's just going to be a tough match. It's very, very evenly matched, but I would definitely say the favours are Inter, and I just don't like Milan's defence or midfield compared to the Nerazzurri's series options. Only the front line is remotely comparable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. My advice to you is to begin drinking heavily soon.
Fantastic. I'm going to have to get on it the moment after this podcast. I'll be 46 hours into a drinking binge.
That's the perfect way to watch Milan these days, honestly.
Mate, it's the only way I've been able to survive, to be honest. Just lucky I watched them halfway through university when the whole 2012 debacle happened, so that's okay.
Yeah. Adam, your prediction?
I can't see anything other than Inter win for all the reasons that Sam says, to be perfectly honest. It's as much as that pains me to admit, it's Milan are weakest where Inter are strongest. It's the midfield is just incomparable for me. It's De Jong is great. I think he's a fantastic player, but Inter have got Kondogbia who matches up well with him, and then they've got other players as well. Gnabry in there. They've got But then again, they might play Felipe Melo, which might help Milan quite a lot. As
Oh,
you
Melo versus De Jong in the midfield is going to be like fucking UFC, mate. Can you
yeah,
imagine? That's going to
absolutely.
be incredible.
But then you, as we were saying before, with the defence of Romagnoli and one other, you're playing against Mauro Icardi, who, for my money, is probably the best striker in Serie A at the moment. Now that Tevez has left. And then they've got Jovetic as well, who has 2 winning goals in 2 games. That one of those is going to have an absolute field day against a player who isn't Romagnoli, and the one who's playing against Romagnoli would still fancy his chances as well, because the kid's still raw. He's got a lot to learn, as Sam says. But I don't see any way other than a Felipe Melo meltdown that Milan are going to get anything out of this game, no matter how much Sinisa Mihajlovic jumps up and down. And it will be close because it's a derby and you're never going to get a runaway winner, but I really struggle to see beyond an Inter win. I think they've just got too much quality in all the areas that Milan have got problems.
Now, it's funny you did mention Felipe Melo melting down. Now, that is a distinct possibility. When you've got the possibility of Felipe Melo and Gary Medel on the pitch at the same time, that's a red card kind of waiting to happen. So that might be the biggest chance Milan has to pull this one out, is just to kind of wind one or both of those two up and see what happens. Me personally, I'd love to see an 89th minute Balotelli winner, but that's just me.
I would adore that. I would adore that.
You know,
as well.
I would too. That'd be amazing, because it would mean people had to actually talk about Mario Balotelli playing football, which seems to be like
and not speeding or adopting a pet pig or his newest haircut, like him on the field.
The whole Balotelli speeding thing is so fucking annoying. Like, the guy is 25 years old. Yeah, he should grow up. Yeah, but he's also a multimillionaire with far more money than sense, and he's an idiot. We know he's an idiot. It doesn't change the fact that he's a damn talented footballer if you can get him on the pitch and get him in the mood. And if Milan can get Mario Balotelli playing football, he's fantastic, and it doesn't matter what you think about anything that he's done away from the pitch. And all it is it's a list of stupid things. It's nothing like Adrian Mutu, who we were talking about before, or name one serious thing that Mario Balotelli has ever. Yeah, it's speeding. He could hurt somebody, but he hasn't. So let's not talk about ifs, buts, and maybes.
He wasn't even drunk. Arturo Vidal.
Yeah, exactly. Arturo Vidal. Let's talk about something serious. But Arturo Vidal has done far worse in his footballing career and with his footballing career than Mario Balotelli, but nobody talks about. Okay, yeah, you do talk about it, but you don't then tweet every time, oh, Arturo Vidal went to the shop with a stupid hat on. But no matter what Mario Balotelli does, it's news. So when he does something dumb, it's big news. When he does something completely mundane, it's still somehow front page news, and it's so boring. I just would love to sit and talk about Mario Balotelli, the player, because I think he's phenomenal, and I hope to God him and Giuseppe Rossi can get back to playing and get back to scoring goals, because you look at that Italy team this week and the defence is there, the midfield, with or without De Rossi, you had Marchisio back in there, that's fantastic. You get those two guys up front, and then you can talk all day long about how good Germany are, but that Italy team with those two guys at their best is a match for anybody at all, anybody.
I completely agree. I love Balotelli, and if you gave me his money, you'd never see me ever again. Like, if you gave me what he earns in a week, you'd never see me ever again. I'd just disappear off the map. Start losing my driving license, man. I'd be a shell of myself by like the end of the month.
If you gave me Balotelli's money, I'd be splashed all over the front pages, to be honest.
I'd be splashed over someone's windscreen, mate. Like, it'd just be done. Like, ex-teacher found to the side of a cliff. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
enough drugs to kill a large elephant in its system.
If you gave me Mario Balotelli's money, I would have Julian driving me everywhere, because he's not going to get served anywhere, so he's not going to get drunk. So I'm all good.
We do have to shout out Julian De Martinez, our resident Roma lover. Shout out Greg Simaluku, who couldn't make it today. We will get Julian on this. I will badger him into joining us. I'm gonna make this happen.
I agree. I need this in my life. I really do.
I just want to see him and Adam argue.
I want to see like his facial expressions, like because he's got like a lovely smile, but like when you just see the picture, it's like every so often you see those pictures in haunted houses, they get really creepy, and it's like, hi Julian, and it's like it's a lovely smile, but like I need to see like a face move so he doesn't look like King James the First in like some weird house to me. Like, oh man. Just
calling him out, get him on, because I don't think he's a real person. I think it is just a painting in a house. Get him on. Prove that you're a real person, Julian.
He's just a Roma like news feed.
He's just
live comments from like a blog.
Julian, at this point, you're a Roma bot. That's all you are.
That's awesome. On that note, we will close it out. Thanks again to Adam Digby and Sam Lewis for joining me today. We will hopefully be back next week to wrap up week 3 of Serie A and talk about week 4. Again, I'm Aaron West for Sam Lewis, Adam Digby, and we are the special ones, and I'm out of here.
Ciao, ciao, Julian. Prove you're a real person.
Bye, guys. Always a pleasure.